Odin. Odin is the chief god in the Norse pantheon. Alongside his wife Frigg, he is the ruler of Asgard, the home of the Aesir gods. He is a complex and revered deity associated with war, wisdom, and poetry. Odin's association with war is sophisticated. While he is seen as a god of battle and victory, his approach to warfare is marked by strategic cunning and wisdom. He is often accompanied by his two ravens, who bring him information from across the realms, enhancing his strategic prowess. Seen as a protector of heroes, fallen warriors who died in battle, known as Einherjar, were sent to his domain in Valhalla. During Ragnarok, the end of the Norse world, legend foretells that Odin will rally this army of heroes, but he will eventually be eaten by Loki's son, the wolf Fenrir. Nergal. Nergal, a significant deity in Mesopotamian mythology, holds a dual role as the god of war and a ruler of the underworld beside his wife Ereshkigal. Unlike the strategist Odin, Nergal as a god of war is seen by Babylonian and Assyrian cultures as embodying the violence and brutal nature of warfare. Alongside his warring attributes, Nergal is seen as the god of inflicted death, whether that be through disease or battle, reflecting the Mesopotamians' belief that death on the battlefield could cause the spread of disease. Huitzilopochtli. Huitzilopochtli, a central figure in Aztec religion and mythology, is revered as the god of war, sun, and the patron deity of the Mexica tribe. Huitzilopochtli is commonly depicted wearing a hummingbird helmet and holding a shield and a turquoise fire serpent called Xocoatl, which he used as a weapon. Since the Aztec Empire wasn't a monolith, stories about Huitzilopochtli's origins do differ, but one of the most common comes from the Florentine Codex. It is said that his mother, the earth goddess Coatlicue, became pregnant from a ball of hummingbird feathers. Her other children, an army of 400 warriors, became offended by this and plotted to kill her. So Huitzilopochtli burst forth from her womb fully armored. He then battled and defeated all of his 400 brothers. The Aztecs believed that attaining his favor was crucial for achieving victory in battles and gaining dominance over neighboring city-states, and would sacrifice people to appease him. Guan Yu. Guan Yu is an incredibly interesting character from Chinese mythology, revered as the god of war and loyalty. Guan Yu was a real figure who lived during the Three Kingdoms period in ancient China. He served as a general under the warlord Liu Bei and became known for his exceptional martial skills, military strategies, and unwavering loyalty. He was said to be Wan Ren Di in Chinese, translating to a match for 10,000 enemies. After his death in 220 AD, he was posthumously deified and worshipped as a god, with temples dedicated to him for protection. The 14th-century novel, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, played a key role in amplifying his heroic image. Guan Yu's worship transcends religions. Buddhists consider him a Dharma protector. Taoists revere him as a guardian deity of virtue. Ares. Ares, a prominent figure in Greek mythology, is revered as the god of war and is one of the 12 Olympians of ancient Greece. He represents the chaotic and brutal aspects of war, and although he was seen as courageous, he was often bested by other deities because of his anger. An interesting example of this was in The Shield of Heracles, a poem from the 6th century BC. In this, Ares' son Cycnus, who was strong but brutish like his father, robbed passing pilgrims. So the demigod Heracles was sent to deal with him. Heracles ends up killing Cycnus despite Ares helping his son. Ares sees red, ignoring the potential consequences, and lunges at Heracles. But Heracles manages to injure Ares with a spear, and Zeus has to intervene. However, Ares had a Roman counterpart, Mars, who was seen differently by Roman society. Where Ares was seen as representing the destructive, savage, and violent aspects of war, Mars was seen as using the military as a protective force to secure peace and was seen as father-like to the Roman people. Svetovid. Svetovid, a prominent deity in Slavic mythology, particularly amongst the West Slavic Rani tribe on the island of Rugen, is venerated as a god of war, fertility, and divination. The Polabian Slavs would often give animal sacrifices and spoils of war as offerings to Svetovid. He is portrayed as having 4 heads for seeing everything, a sword in his hand and a wine-filled horn in his other, often with a white horse which he rode into battle at night. Athena. Athena, a revered goddess in Greek mythology, embodies a unique blend of war prowess, sharp wisdom, and craftsmanship. Born through parthenogenesis by Zeus, or in other stories, bursting forth from his forehead after he swallowed her mother, Metis. To grasp Athena's role as the goddess of war in ancient Greece, a comparison with her half-brother Ares is essential. As we've already covered, Ares epitomized the violent aspects of war. Athena, in contrast, was celebrated for her strategic intelligence. She often outplayed Ares, emphasizing the Greeks' belief in the significance of wisdom in warfare. In Homer's Iliad, during the Trojan War, Ares chose to side with Aphrodite and the Trojans over Athena and the Greeks. Athena is offended by this and aids her favorite hero, Diomedes, against Ares. She guides his spear and he wounds Ares. Later, Ares attempts to fight Athena directly and knocks her backwards, but she cleverly uses her environment to her advantage, striking him with a large rock, defeating him. Sekhmet. Sekhmet, one of several deities in ancient Egypt associated with war, is a formidable goddess representing war, destruction, and healing. Sekhmet is often depicted with the head of a lioness, emphasizing her fierce and aggressive attributes. Sekhmet is associated with the concept of divine retribution. According to the myth, Ra, angered by humanity's disobedience, sent Sekhmet to punish mortals. However, her rampage became uncontrollable, prompting Ra to intervene by tricking her with beer dyed red that resembled blood. She drank this, became intoxicated, and finally stopped her massacre. She is also linked to the earlier feline goddess Bastet. Some believe that they are part of the same goddess, with Bastet representing the calmer side of Sekhmet. Montu. Montu was another of the many deities associated with warfare in ancient Egypt, but he has one of the strongest links with war. He is often depicted as a falcon-headed god, similarly to the important sun and sky god Horus, who was also linked to war, and the sun god Ra, but you can differentiate the three by their crowns. Montu is most often depicted with a crown with two plumes. Horus is most often portrayed with a pashent, the double crown of unified Egypt, and Ra with a sun disk. Montu's sacred animal was a white bull, symbolizing his strength and wild nature. Kartikeya. Kartikeya, also known as Skanda or Lord Muruga, is the god of war and victory in the Hindu religion. His parents are Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. His brother is the wise god Ganesh. Legends differ around Kartikeya's origin, but he was born with the purpose of vanquishing the demon, Tarakasura. Due to a divine blessing by the creator god Brahma, Tarakasura could only be killed by an heir of Shiva. So the god of love, Kama, shot an arrow at Shiva to make him fall for Parvati. Eventually Kartikeya is born. He aged quickly from childhood, becoming the military commander of the gods, and led the army of Devas against the demon forces of Taraxura. He wielded his divine spear, Vel, and slayed Taraxura. He is often depicted riding a peacock, a symbol of subduing the ego. Bellona. In Roman mythology, the goddess Bellona is a goddess of war, standing as a personification of the relentless and fierce aspects of conflict. At first glance, with her helmet and spear, she could be confused with the Greek goddess Athena, but Athena has a Roman counterpart in Minerva, who leans more towards the handicrafts and strategic aspects of Athena. Bellona, in comparison, represents the bloodlust and destruction of cities in war. Her closest companion in the Roman pantheon is the god Mars. She is often pictured riding alongside him. The Morrigan. The Morrigan, as mentioned in our last video on the gods of the dead, is a tripartite goddess, made of three parts: Bive, Nevin or Morrigan, and Macha. Bive, in particular, is associated with the Morrigan, appearing as a crow or raven on the battlefield. Bive, in her crow form, incites warriors to battle, creates a frenzy, and helps certain warriors conquer their enemies before feasting on the carrion of the battlefield. But she could also turn into a beautiful woman to try and seduce men, such as the Celtic hero Cuchulainn. Xipe-Totec. Xipe-Totec, another deity associated with war in the Aztec religion, holds the titles of the god of agriculture, vegetation, and war. He is often depicted wearing the flayed skin of a sacrificial victim. This gruesome aspect was actually a symbol of renewal, and it is claimed that he first shed his own skin as a way to feed his human followers and heal them from illnesses. The celebratory festival, Tlacoxepehualistli, was dedicated to Xipe-Totec. Many sacrifices took place during this time, with prisoners of war forced to enter gladiatorial battles with Aztec warriors. Ku. Ku is a significant deity in Hawaiian mythology, embodying both the destructive necessity of war and the life-sustaining necessity of fishing. In Hawaiian mythology, there are four major gods. The four gods are Kane, a god of life and creation; Kanaloa, another creation god and god of the ocean; Lono, who was concerned with fertility and agriculture; and Ku, the mighty god of war and governance. Ku is the only one of the four major Hawaiian gods to whom human sacrifices were made, with the sacrificers believing he would aid them in battle in return. On her. Anhur is yet another god of war from ancient Egypt. This early deity was mainly worshipped around the area of Abydos in Upper Egypt. Seen as a protector of heroes and Ra, he is said to slay the sun god's enemies. He is often seen with his consort and female counterpart, Mehit, who came from Nubia. Hachiman. Hachiman is a prominent deity in Japanese mythology, revered by many as the god or kami of war, though others describe the god more as a patron and teacher of warriors. His other specialities include archery, divination, and divine protection. It is believed in Shintoism that the legendary 3rd century Emperor Ojin, who was likely a real person, was the divine spirit of Hachiman. One time it was said that Hachiman drove the Mongol ruler Kublai Khan back with a divine wind or kamikaze during their attempted naval invasion. Inanna. Inanna, the Sumerian goddess, and Ishtar, her Akkadian counterpart, are central figures in Mesopotamian mythology. They are often depicted with weapons, including swords or a bow, emphasizing her dual nature as both a nurturing and destructive force. Her sister and rival is the goddess of the dead, Ereshkigal, who we covered in our Gods of the Dead video. Inanna is often symbolized by the 8-pointed star, representing the planet Venus, or the morning star, symbolizing her profound heavenly significance. Perun. Perun in Slavic mythology holds the position of the supreme deity within the pantheon. With his role as the god of thunder and lightning and war and justice, he has a clear resemblance to gods of other Indo-European mythologies like Zeus, Thor, and the Hindu god Indra. He wields a mighty axe, and Slav warriors prayed to him, requesting his assistance prior to a battle. His nemesis is the god of the earth Veles, with even their temples needing to be distant so as not to anger either of the gods. Tyr. In Norse mythology, Tyr was an Aesir god linked to war and justice. Like many other mythologies, Norse deities don't fit into neat boxes of which god fits which aspect. It is for this reason that we aren't including gods like Thor. While Thor's warrior prowess is undeniable, Tyr's connection to war goes beyond strength, encompassing strategy, leadership, and the essence of conflict itself. Tyr, associated with justice in warfare, punishes those who break treaties. Tyr's iconic myth involves sacrificing his hand to bind the powerful wolf Fenrir, symbolizing his bravery. During Ragnarok, Tyr is prophesied to battle Hel's guard dog, Garm, resulting in their mutual demise. Buluc Chabtan. Buluc Chabtan is one of the more terrible gods on this list. Coming from Mayan mythology, he rules over violence, war, sacrifice, and gambling. Little is known about this god of war, possibly because the Mayans saw him as a malevolent force to appease, rather than a god to revere. But we know that sacrifices were made to him, often by removal of the head or heart. I hope you enjoyed these short introductions to the various gods of war. Let us know if you have any information to add. See you again at Darkness and Lore.